Right now, buried beneath 2 miles of ice in Antarctica, there are fossils of palm trees, ferns, tropical insects, ancient forests that stretched across an entire continent. This is not a theory. This is not a conspiracy. This is a scientific fact backed by hard evidence, and what it reveals about our planet's past is something most people have never been told. Today, we are going to Antarctica. Not the frozen wasteland, but the one that existed millions of years ago. A lush, warm, breathing jungle sitting at the bottom of the world, and the dark truth hiding inside this story will change the way you think about Earth forever. In 2017, scientists drilling into Antarctic rock pulled out something extraordinary: fossilized roots, pollen, and even spores from flowering plants. Ancient evidence of a rainforest that thrived around 90 million years ago, during a period known as the Cretaceous, but this was not the first clue. Back in the early 1900s, members of Robert Falcon Scott's Antarctic expedition found fossilized plant imprints in the rocks near the South Pole. They were carrying those very specimens when they perished on their return from the pole in 1912. Those fossils were recovered. With their frozen bodies, scientists at the time struggled to explain it. How could a continent sitting directly on the South Pole, a place that goes dark for months every year, possibly have supported a tropical jungle? The answer required completely rethinking our understanding of Earth's climate history. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine this. You are standing in Antarctica, but instead of blinding white ice stretching to the horizon, you see a dense canopy of trees. Massive ferns brush against your legs. The air is humid and warm, around 25 degrees Celsius. Similar to modern-day Melbourne or London in summer. Rivers cut through the landscape. Insects buzz. Dinosaurs walk the earth nearby, because yes, this was the age of dinosaurs. The fossils discovered in Antarctica include ancient conifers similar to modern Araucaria trees, ferns related to those still alive today, and flowering plants that were just beginning to evolve across the planet. The continent was not always sitting in its current position. Due to plate tectonics, the slow movement of Earth's crustal plates, Antarctica was once positioned much further north, near or within the temperate zone. But here is what makes this story even more remarkable. By 90 million years ago, Antarctica was already sitting close to the South Pole, yet it was still warm, still green, still alive. That means something else was going on with Earth's climate, something far bigger than just geography. Here is where the story gets unsettling. For Antarctica to have been a jungle 90 million years ago, even while positioned at the South Pole, the global temperature of Earth would have had to be dramatically higher than it is today. Scientists estimate that during the Cretaceous period, average global temperatures were around 35 degrees Celsius, roughly 10 to 15 degrees warmer than our current average. The reason? Carbon dioxide levels in the atmosphere were dramatically elevated. Estimates suggest concentrations were perhaps 4 to 8 times higher than pre-industrial levels. Volcanic activity, particularly from massive eruptions on the ocean floor called large igneous provinces, pumped enormous quantities of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere over millions of years. This created a supercharged greenhouse effect. The polar ice caps essentially disappeared. Sea levels were dramatically higher, and the entire planet, including Antarctica, was warm enough to support complex ecosystems. This is the dark truth scientists want you to understand. Earth has been through periods of radical climate transformation before. It has flipped from warm greenhouse world to cold icehouse world, and back again, multiple times across its 4.5 billion year history. And it does not need humans to do it. So, what happened? How did this lush jungle paradise become the most hostile environment on Earth? The answer involves one of the most dramatic geological events in planetary history. Around 34 million years ago, a critical change occurred. The supercontinent that had kept Antarctica connected to South America and Australia finally broke apart completely. As these land masses drifted away, a powerful ocean current formed around Antarctica, the Antarctic Circumpolar Current. This current acted like a wall of cold water, isolating Antarctica from the warmer ocean temperatures elsewhere on the planet. Without that flow of warm water reaching the continent, temperatures began to drop. At the same time, carbon dioxide levels in the atmosphere gradually declined over millions of years as volcanic activity slowed and carbon was absorbed into rocks and oceans. The greenhouse effect weakened. Antarctica began to freeze. The ice sheet we know today began forming approximately 34 million years ago and has been growing and shifting ever since. In geological terms, it happened rapidly. In human terms, it took millions of years, but the planet was transformed. The forests died. The rivers froze. And all evidence of that ancient green world was buried beneath kilometers of ice. Here is something most people do not know. Beneath the Antarctic ice sheet, there is an entire hidden landscape. Mountains taller than the Alps, deep valleys, and liquid lakes, over 400 of them, sitting at the base of the ice, kept liquid by geothermal heat from below. One of those lakes, Lake Vostok, is roughly the size of Lake Ontario and has been isolated from the outside world for potentially 15 to 25 million years. Scientists have drilled into the ice above it and found microbial life surviving in some of the most extreme conditions imaginable. Now consider this. If microbes can survive in these frozen, buried lakes, what else might still be preserved beneath that ice? Researchers have found remarkably well-preserved organic material in Antarctic fossil beds. Ancient DNA does not survive that long, but chemical signatures of ancient life do. And as climate conditions shift and certain Antarctic ice margins retreat, we are exposing rock and soil that has not seen sunlight in millions of years. There may be an entire biological archive waiting beneath the ice, one we have barely begun to read. Antarctica is the most extreme place on Earth, coldest, driest, most isolated, but it was not always this way. Beneath every kilometer of ice is a memory, a record of a world that existed long before humans, long before mammals, long before anything we would recognize as modern life. A jungle world, a warm world, a world where the South Pole was green. And the planet changed it, not slowly, not gently, but through forces so powerful and so massive that they reshaped an entire continent over millions of years. We study Antarctica not just to understand the past, but because the signals locked inside that ice tell us something about where Earth could go next. The planet has been warmer. It has been colder. It has buried jungles under ice and melted ice caps into open ocean. It has done all of this before, and knowing that it can, that is perhaps the most important thing we can take from the frozen jungle at the bottom of the world. If you found this fascinating, like this video and drop a comment below. What would you want to explore next from Earth's hidden past?